And Connie, I guess we're ready anytime you are.
It's ready.
Perfect. Hi, Connie. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
And I'll get us started. Welcome to our Teaching and Educational Technologies Committee meeting for this year. I'm the chair of the committee, David Yates from Tennessee. We have as our committee members Melanie Barkley, Scott Duggan, Alicia Halberetter, Travis Harper. And I think Alicia and Travis are on with us right now. Yes. I've got a couple of notes just quickly, some things that we have done this past year to give you an idea of what your Teaching and Educational Technologies Committee has been doing. And then we'll ask for input from the group. Last year at Dallas during our AMPIC, we had a four-member presentations. That was down quite a bit, but that seemed to be as a whole for the whole session. But this year, we had 25 submissions for presentations for 12 slots that we have open for this year. So our committee was reviewing those, and we have those 12 selected. So we invite you to come and join us on Monday and Tuesday of the meeting to come and visit with us. Also, this year on May the 7th, we conducted a 365 webinar, and it was entitled Getting Started with AI and Extension. We had 96 people registered for that session, and we were looking at providing a snapshot of current artificial intelligence adoption, and we were answering some questions about what can AI do, sort of where to get started. We had a survey, and I can share my screen at the end, and we have the QR code or a tiny URL that you can go. And if you've not filled out the survey, we'd ask for you to. That's also going to be in some information that will be sent out before the national meeting. This information from our workshop of looking at how to get started, it's going to roll into a super seminar that we'll be hosting on Tuesday. We'll be looking at some of this information, and it's about have you used AI? What have you used AI for? That type of thing. They're very simple questions. But we felt like we had a good response from our webinar, and then we just want to continue that as we go into this super seminar. So when we come into what we're doing at our national meeting in Billings, is that your Teaching and Educational Technologies Committee is hosting two super seminars. One of those is we're going to be working with our members from Idaho, and they're doing the Designing Educational Board Games for Agricultural Learning. That's one to where there is a cost involved with that. Uh, NACAA, through our committee, is subsidizing that cost by $25 for each person, and then the member will pay the 75 because when you come in and take this super seminar, you're going to leave with the board game and all of the educational tools that go along with that. And then I've alluded to our second super seminar. The official title is Leveraging AI for Extension Success, Tools, Techniques, and Insights. That sounds like AI wrote that, doesn't it? We're going to discuss how these large language models can help extension professionals in the roles, what pitfalls to avoid, some navigating some ethical concerns that we all have about AI, and then what's available in AI technology. And we're going to have some speakers, but then plenty of time for open discussion to talk about where the role of artificial intelligence fits into being an extension educator throughout the United States. So that gives you a quick nutshell of what our committee has been up to, but we would like to open the floor to all of our members and ask, what are you looking for the Teaching and Educational Technology Committee to do for you, and topics that we can try to address in the upcoming year or maybe a couple years forward. And I'm going to sort of be quiet. My voice is just about left. It's not really come back after this week. So pardon the hoarseness. But you can use the chat feature, or you can just turn on your microphone and speak. We'd like to hear from all of you.
I know I can say from having attended a lot of the workshops here that AI tends to be a huge issue across all of the committees. They're really wanting to, I mean, Ag Econ talked about it this morning, Ag Issues has talked about it. Like all of the committees have addressed the need for more of that AI, how they can use it within Ag or how it can be more relative to their topic area. So I would say the continuation and exploration with AI would be good.
And Connie, since you've attended a few more of these, um, when we talk about AI, has there been any concerns of how we're using it in a responsible way, I suppose?
Well, we have all sectors, like take South Dakota right now, we're not allowed to use it. We can't touch it. There's a lot of folks within the state, our university, that think it's just going to go away. They've just developed a task force to look into it to see how we can work with it more. So, I mean, there's states that are really lagging behind in the use. And then there's states like Florida that have really openly embraced it and have said more or less, you need to use it or you're going to become irrelevant. So we've got all spectrums across the nation here. So I think just kind of have some, what works, what's safer, what's not as scary, how you work with it. Because like when I was at ELC, I heard some really good ideas of how getting the stuff put onto calendars, shopping lists, just, creating addresses into letters and things like things I wouldn't have ever dreamed of. I mean, things I technically can't use yet, but just thinking that there's a lot of those tips and tricks out there that folks can share with one another. So almost even just a pooled a session of let people share what has worked for them and how they use it.
And we're hoping, I mean, we've got a large group that signed up to come to the AI Super Seminar. I hope we're going to have room for all of them. We're going to make a place if we have to. Um, but a lot of this, we want to have a lot of this open discussion and to record this so we can then continue to, share this along all the committees. And then if teaching and educational technologies needs to, do some more things, we'll have that information to be able to do. I know Alicia's from Florida, and she and I have compared things about what we've been able to do. And one of the things that we have discussed in our committee is, again, how different the rules are that we each have to abide by. And some have treated it as the wild, wild west and opened it up. I didn't know that South Dakota had basically locked you all down from using it, so that's good to know. Where I'm at in Tennessee, our university has developed their own instance of AI, and they are pushing us to, that's where you want to go first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, pretty much. We can use some other things. We're not banned from it, but they're really pushing us to use that instance of it. And it's just a branded instance of Chat GPT is what we're doing. Who else would like to jump in?
Hi, I will. I'm from UNH. Um, I love AI. And I'm always looking to find ways to use it better, just to save time. So I love using it for help with needs assessment, with evaluation questions of things that I'm working on. I use it for, I'm always looking for adult education ideas, how to make, if you have to do something on a Zoom, how to make it more, more interactive, way more interactive. Also for marketing, I work with, young farmers and new farmers, and, I use it to help me when I'm offering a program to target it to what will be interesting to them, around food safety. So food safety is something that doesn't jump to the front of the mind when you're thinking about farming. And but it gives me good ideas for how I can phrase it in a way that's going to appeal to a new farmer who maybe hasn't thought of it, but would appreciate it if they knew, if they could hear about the program, and then they might be more interested in it. But first I have to get them to read the email, to open the email, or see the announcement and find it intriguing and want to look and want to go deeper. So I'm always looking. I think any kind of, when you're advertising AI, I think the one things I am attracted to is like this, you want to use AI to reach a difficult to reach market. This is what this is going to be about. You want to use AI for needs assessment. You know what I mean? Instead of like, let's talk about AI, this big giant thing, which is, big and giant. So focusing on like how you can use that tool, that giant tool, for what kind of cool things can you do in a small thing that you're working on.
Thanks for sharing that, Mary. Appreciate it.
And just like Connie, I love hearing what other people are doing. I think it's so fascinating. Everyone has a different take on it and what they're using it for. So that's the most interesting to me.
And that's what we have found just working in our group, just how different it is in each of our states and what you can and what you can't do. Anybody else? And again, open the mic, just like having a real meeting.
David, I'll go ahead and jump in and kind of echo what Connie and Mary said. That I personally, I know I saw the super seminar and I immediately signed up for it because I'm like, that's where I want to be. That is how, we're always asked to do more with less resources, less human capital. And I know some people get afraid of AI, but I look at it and go, this is going to make my life, my job easier and hopefully help me use my time better. I get asked to do a ton of notes during meetings, and it really helps me create a better framing, organizational structure, pull out like key areas, the tasks and things. So that has been a huge time sink over the years that I've taken advantage of personally. But I see tons of opportunity for AI and just using it in a way that makes sense and is allowable by our university. So I've been trying to jump on some of the Florida recommendations. They focus on Copilot a lot, but I'm always looking at different types of AI to see what's out there. And of course, it's not proprietary information that we're using. It's stuff that's publicly available that we're playing with. So we're staying within the guardrails there. But I know personally I used Notebook LM not that long ago for a project that I had funded, and I plugged in my project narrative and I plugged in all of the publications that we cited, and Notebook LM was able to create a fact sheet for me. It created some really nice overviews, and it made a 10-minute podcast that was super conversational and made it really digestible, and talked about our project. And I was able to go through and really just make sure that it was accurate and make edits and whatnot. But it was fantastic for me to be able to convey exactly what we were doing, but in a really digestible, like conversational way that it's not academic. So I think it's just really, really cool tools that I would love to see how other people are using it. I've been playing with AI for like 12 years now before I even started with extension, which has been really fun to see how it's translated or transformed over the years. So I'm really personally excited about that. And then before I forget, I also want to pitch, I mentioned it this morning as part of the econ session, but I would love to see how other universities are doing client management and building those relationships and working on, like, if you have some sort of CRM and what that tool looks like, as a just how are we building those relationships and establishing them and keeping up with them as people move in and out of positions. And then, is it something as simple as like a mailing list, or is it something as fancy as Salesforce or beyond? University of Maryland, Shenandoah had a really awesome coaching program that they developed through using Monday.com as one of the backbone pieces. But we've expressed in general, like how much of a need this is, because that is the basis of our work across the entire country and territories, is keeping up with our target audience, and how do we follow up with them and treat them in a way that says we're not forgetting about you. And we discussed, if my car mechanic can do it, where they know exactly the type of make, model, the last time I had a service date with them, exactly when I need spark plugs next. Like, if they can do it, what is that version of extension? So throwing that out as a pitch for maybe a future super seminar, or maybe that's multiple webinars, I don't know, but I would love to see what other people are doing, and use those best practices.
And I hope we're going to cover all of that and a whole bunch more in the super seminar in our open discussion part. So you need to be there in the front row with us.
I'll
We'll
be
be
either in
looking
the
for
front or standing in the back.
Okay, we will find you. When you talk about podcast, I have found out that one of my coworkers in Tennessee, they have let AI create, and this is an internal based podcast only for extension agents. And they've taken some of their new consumer horticulture fact sheets and publications and let AI create a podcast for that, and thinking about, okay, as people are driving to and from work, they could come in, they could listen to these podcasts, instead of taking time to read them, but listen to them as they're coming back and forth in time that you're not doing anything really productive except keeping the car in the right lane of the road. But having it as a different way instead of just making it that forced reading, and then possibly being able to create some of these podcast type things after they experiment with it a little more, to see if they would release it to our general public, which could be. I'm going to find out some more information about that so we can share it in Billings.
I think I just want to comment on what Lisa said about, I don't know if you use the word CRM, the customer relationship management. We're so behind an extension on that, and that I never even thought of AI using it in that way, which would be amazing to just hook people up, check in on a regular basis, not have it be like, not like annoying people, but we have such good stuff to offer. And farmers, at least I work with farmers, so they get busy. And just being able to tap them on a periodic basis to say, are you still okay? Is that working for you? Yeah, that's a really exciting use of AI.
And I think when we look at that, my university has decided we're going to build everything homegrown. And so everything that we have is slow to develop, slow to do. It's based around doing federal reports is where all of ours comes from. It's not really about trying to stay in contact with the customer. And maybe that's a good message that our administrative team needs to hear. I admire the states that have, gone ahead and they've I'll get the word out. They've gone ahead and they've purchased Salesforce for an example and using one of these commercial grade tools. And it's pretty exciting, some of the things that I've heard about what can be done with that. And some of you may have some more experiences with that. And I'm sure AI is being integrated into that as it is with most every electronic product that we use across the board. Whether you're picking up your smartphone and talking to it to ask it a question, or you're actually going into Copilot or Chat GPT or whatever and looking at one of the larger language models.
So, David, it sounds like AI probably needs to be on our agenda for the next couple of years at least. I would just had a question out for the group. I was wondering, so my university has been really having a big push on adaptive learning for all of our clients, and I'm sure that's been addressed before, but that kind of relates to AI as well. So maybe looking into that a little bit. And then also, I don't think we're there yet as extension, certainly, but as we're moving along with AI and everything else, maybe looking at a little bit on over-reliance on technology.
Yeah, maybe having a technology detox for a little bit. I know when I was this weekend, I was sort of down for the count, and it was like, I'm just turning everything off. I don't want to deal with anything. We've got a chat message from Andrea Berry. Would like to buck the trend and raise the issue of ethics as a topic connected with AI use. I have heard of students being distributed disturbed that faculty can use AI when they are not allowed to do so. While this would be unlikely to impact extension programming, it might be a topic worth exploring. Um, Andrea, that's one thing that we spoke about in our webinar that we had earlier this month. And this is a topic that we want to pick up and continue to discuss because, AI is great, but where does it get its information from? You know, and even if you tell it to give it, facts and resources and things, it becomes our job to check those resources because sometimes it can invent those depending on what you use, which is, it's like, well, if it's mining the web, you would think that it would, get relevant and truthful information. What we have also found too is that different AI models give different results. And the reason they do that is where does it go and mine for the information? And I think in our case, as extension educators, is this the most current and relevant information? Did it go out? And in many of those cases, to get the most current and relevant, you have to use one of these large language models to where you have to pay a subscription fee for it. So the free version of AI would give you maybe this answer to where the paid version of that same AI might give you a different answer. But thanks for bringing that up. That is a concern. I think um, many of us, especially if we've been in extension a long time, uh, have a concern about.
Yeah, and I thought you did a good job on the workshop presenting all of those issues and stuff. I just think that we're going to need to continue to talk about that. It's a great thing for some things, but I think we have to keep touching that ethics and where does this come from and how do we verify and all that kind of stuff over and over and over again. I don't think it's one of those things we could say too much.
Thank you. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. That's a concern I have, not just about AI, but just as being relevant when we get up in front of, people in our community and make sure that we are telling these are the facts. These are not our interpretation of things, but this is factual based information.
I think Andrew brings up a really good point, is that even with YouTube and anything online, you have to use critical thinking skills, because just because it says this doctor recommends it, for example, you don't know who he is and what he's recommending. You know what I mean? You can really get bamboozled even without AI. You get bamboozled if you're not aware of how to use critical thinking skills to check out where the information's coming from. So I think that's like most important of all, maybe to start every session of everything with that. I don't know if any of you have heard of Barbara Oakley, and her #1, I think, Coursera course is called Learning How to Learn. And it's an amazing course, and it's all about how your brain works and how kids and adults and everyone can use it to learn better. And she's pro AI, and she has great anything. If you put Barbara Oakley and you put in AI, you can come up with tons of ways that she has come up with, and other people that she works with have come up with, to use AI in the classroom to teach kids those kind of skills, like critical thinking skills, and how to use it. So they're using AI in a thoughtful, creative way, instead of like just cut and paste, like do this book report for me. And ways to, bring it into the classroom in the right way, in the way we want them to use it, as a tool, not as a brain substitute, right?
That's a great point. I'm going to be looking her up when we finish this afternoon. Thinking about those resources, I have a 16-year-old, nephew, and it's like, well, how do you know anything? Well, Snapchat, whatever he sees on it. And I'm like, oh my, this is our next generation. And maybe when we think about AI, we're looking at it, very broadly from that aspect that people are getting a lot of their information in ways like that. And how factual is it? And we may talk about critical thinking skills in schools. I know our local school systems talk about that, but I'm still puzzled about, is it really taking hold? And our young people that are becoming our young adults right now and in the next few years, um, how are we going to be able to relate to them? And are they going to believe what we have as that institutional fact-based information from the land grants? Or are they going to look at who the next TikTok star is on their smartphone and, look at that? They probably don't know about extension. Any other comments, questions? We have time. We'll use as much of it as we need to, but we won't belabor the process either.
David, how many have we ended up with the super seminars? I think the gaming one is full.
The
Is that right?
gaming seminar has 37 at my last count
We had a
and
limit on that of like 50 or
of
something. I can't
50.
remember.
I
Okay.
thought it was 30.
Was it 30? Oh, wow.
If you've got 37, David, we've got problems.
Oh, I thought 37 was the number I saw on the sheet that Colt sent um, when he was asking for the moderators and all of that information and, putting in the speakers in our groups. And then I know we had
It may be
two.
including additional speakers and committee members.
Okay. I
There's
know
all
we,
there's 30 people officially registered for because
okay,
that was the number I had to cut it off at.
perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Well, you had me nervous there for a second because
Well,
I'm like, you've got 7 more people than I've got. But anyway.
I don't have any names. I just knew how many was on Colt's list that he
Yep.
shared.
Yep.
And then I think you said we have 230
Something.
something
Yeah.
that is signed in for the AI seminar, and we're going to figure out a way to
Yeah, do we have a room big enough for
put
that?
us
We
in.
do. And I'll
Okay.
be honest, Shelley Mills from Montana, the co-chair of the meeting, the DoubleTree was very friendly and allowed us access to another room that's called the Ponderosa Room. It's up on I kept telling everybody it was on the 17th floor, but it's on the 22nd floor. And we're using it for that seminar as well as one of the overflow sites for the banquet. And, but I think people would have kept signing up and we had limits, so I did have to cut that one off, but I want to say it's like at 238 or something like that.
241.
Is that what I'm at now?
Yep.
Oh, I like it. We'll figure out a way to handle that somehow, some way, but we are really excited about this. And I know I have recruited one of my coworkers that did a really good AI presentation of just uses of AI in agriculture that I think will be very, I guess, reassuring that extension has a, huge role in this. And we've got some other people that'll be on our panel to speak, but we're taking half the time at least just for questions from the group. So we do invite people to come and, to ask these questions, and hopefully your questions and the discussion will also come in and raise other questions and discussion. And this will help us, move along as we come in and prepare for the next year from our committee. Thank you, Mary, for sharing that in the chat.
I didn't realize you guys were planning I thought this was just a general meeting. I feel like I'm crashing it. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Cause, you're like planning the conference, right? And I'm not able to go to the conference. And I'm not.
That's perfectly fine. You're a member of the organization, and that's what we're looking for.
Just wanted to be clear, but I didn't mean to crash it.
No, 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 no. Appreciate your thoughts and insights.
David, I don't know if this would be for the conference or if this would be a future webinar, but thinking about, you made a comment about where the AI models are going for their information. And I would love to learn from someone that's a lot smarter than I am, about like, at one point in time, the big discussion was SEOs, like optimizing your website for search engines that kind of scrape that information. And I'm wondering, what is that version for AI for these learning models? You'd mentioned there's different models that use information in different ways. Are there ways for us to, better prepare our fact sheets, or are there ways for us to situate our website or have some sort of metadata or particular keywords that help AI models go to our sites to provide that factual information that we are wanting to get out to the public, to make sure that they are learning something that is based in research and science and is factual, as opposed to random information from TikTok videos that gets scrapped. So I don't know who that is, and I don't know what the terms are, but I would love to, that is a topic I would love to learn about, and that way we can better situate ourselves to continue to be the experts.
I don't know the answer to that either. And I agree with you. That's very interesting. We might have to dig quite a bit deeper to find out some more of the ins and outs of that. But I'm making sure that that's one of our notes that we can come back and follow up upon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great discussion, everybody. We really appreciate it. This is your organization and this is your committee. There's 5 of us who just happen to be on a leadership role on this, and we want to make sure and take information that you would like to find out and see if we can develop this into something more that we can share with the whole organization. Any other questions or comments? Topics that you would like us to put down on the list to investigate for the future? Well, if it's all quiet, um, we can adjourn here. I would like to thank each of you for participating. I know this is it's been different as we've switched to this way of doing our committee members or committee meetings, but I think it gives our membership a lot more opportunity to, whereas when we did it in person, we only had a very short amount of time and it felt shorter than what we have today. Plus, you could only get to one. And doing it this way, you know, look down the list and how many topics of interest do you have, you know, personally or in your professional work, and you can do all of these. So I do appreciate you for attending. I appreciate my fellow committee members for being on here and helping me as we move forward with all the tasks that the Teaching and Educational Technology Committee has to do at our meeting in Billings, and look forward to seeing you at our sessions and super seminars there. And then as we continue work for the coming year. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.